Ever since I was a child, I cherished the Animal Crossing franchise. I would run home after school, switch on my GameCube, and just get taken away into the small world that it provided. It was a magical time of pulling weeds, doing chores, collecting furniture, but most importantly, making friends. I can't even begin to fathom the amount of hours I've put into this franchise, from its humble beginnings on the GameCube to the wild worlds that was waiting on the DS, to the city folk we met in the Wii, to taking over for Tortimer on the 3DS. I humbly sat down and waited, not very patiently, year in and year out, for this franchise to come to the Switch. In September of 2018, I got my wish. Animal Crossing was coming to the Switch, and when it finally did, I put in close to 500 hours of hunting villagers, building bridges and collecting bugs, to terraforming an entire island. And I can honestly say I have some thoughts. New Horizons came to us in a time when the world greatly needed it. We were going through a pandemic, and the world wasn't in a good place. Many of us had been laid off of our jobs, sent to online learning, and we were stuck indoors almost all the time. We needed some positivity and camaraderie. Animal Crossing gave us both. It took us to an island, albeit virtual, away from the stresses that the real world was putting on us. We made friends with our villagers, solved problems, and watched our islands grow. We even branched out as a community. All over the internet, Animal Crossing served as a way to bring people closer together amidst all the turmoil. We traded items, helped each other get the best turnip prices, and just became closer as a people. The positivity that New Horizons gave to the world when it did cannot be understated. We needed this game, and Nintendo delivered. New Horizons also gave the franchise several much needed quality of life improvements. In New Leaf, we were stuck making custom pathways with custom designs, forcing us to open the screen to display the pathway on the ground. Then we had to close it, take a couple steps, then repeat the process. New Horizons did away with this tediousness, allowing us to use simple tools, selecting the chosen pathways and painting them on the ground. No longer are we stuck with only a few choices for our village maps. Don't like the options you were given at the start of the game? Terraform it. Don't like how the river cuts through the pathway you walk every time you play? Reroute it. We were also given more ways to make the islands our own. Being able to decorate the entire village with furniture brought out the creativity in every single one of us, making masterpieces of every variety. I have visited several of your islands in the past, and the look into different cultures I was able to experience helped in a time where travel was disallowed. The individual touches each of you poured into your islands allowed us to understand each other more than we ever could with just words. Being able to craft helped even more, allowing us to put further personal touches on even the smallest of furniture, especially when we were allowed to combine them with custom designs. I have seen items hundreds of times, but have been met with a different feeling on each personal island for the unique touches this game allows us to bring to even the most minor of details. But unfortunately, even with all of the good that New Horizons has, and the good that any game would have, every game can't be perfect. As I said earlier, I played New Horizons for close to 500 hours as it sits. I adore New Horizons and would even say that I love it. Or so I thought. Recently, I have been in a rut. Depression has been keeping me away from a lot of the things that I used to enjoy, especially Animal Crossing and YouTube. I had to take some time to work on myself, and when I finally got through the muck, I was excited to dive back into New Horizons, meet the villagers that I left behind, reconnect with all the friends that I made along the way. But when I turned on the Switch and loaded into my island, I found myself bored. At first, I thought that maybe it was because I was still in a rut, but I felt fine. At least I thought I did. So, why wasn't this game that I love, this franchise that I adore, making me happy or helping me have fun? I was just confused, and with a sigh, I switched off my Switch and I went to bed. The next day, I still wanted to play Animal Crossing, but For some reason, I didn't want to play New Horizons, so I dusted off my 3DS, I popped in New Leaf, and explored my town. It was riddled with weeds, and my house was full of cockroaches, but I explored the town, apologized to my old villagers for being away for so long, and I got to work. I cleaned up the village, paid off some debts, and had a great time with my old friends. It was like experiencing the game all over again for the first time. That night when I powered down the 3DS, I went to bed with a smile on my face for what felt like the first time in a while. The following morning, I thought, why don't I try again, but this time with City Folk, Wild World, even the original Animal Crossing. I dusted off all my old systems and gave each one a go. Literally, from that morning till well past sunset, I played, I explored, I laughed, I smiled. I was reunited with all my old friends and felt right in the world. So, why didn't I feel that way with New Horizons? Well, that's easy, and this is just one person's opinion, but it's because New Horizons just isn't as good as its predecessors. It's true that New Horizons offered us many great quality of life improvements and gave us a great game in our hour of need, but it also took away so many things that made Animal Crossing as a franchise great. Allow me to explain. The biggest issue I have between these games is the villagers. Oh, the villagers. These little critters that inhabit our islands that we love to adore so much, that we spend several days hunting and finding to collect our favorites. These poor little creatures have taken the biggest hit between each iterations of these games. Villagers in past games, especially the original game and even Wild World, had great personality. I'm not saying that the villagers in New Horizons don't have personality, but how often do you get the same dialogue between your villagers? In New Horizons, it feels like once you've met one lazy villager, you've met them all, albeit with a different coat of paint, setting their looks apart from the crowd. I have on many occasions talked to Stitches, who has told me a long story about what he had for breakfast, and then I would proceed to talk to Bones and then Zucker and hear the same story from each of them, word for word. Did this happen on past games? Yes, but geez, not nearly at the same rate as New Horizons. Villagers each felt different. You would meet one grumpy villager that would act mad every day when you came to talk to them, but over time you would break down their walls and meet a lovable oaf. You could have two jocks in your village that would be interested in separate sports and not just recycle the same dialogue over and over. Each villager used to have uniqueness to them, apart from what kind of animal they were or how they looked. Heck, some of them would even be downright rude to you until you put in the effort to acquaint yourself with them. Back in the old games, I was excited every time I would get the chance to meet a new villager because, well, they were a new villager. Whereas now I'm like, oh look, another lazy villager to repeat the same dialogue I've already heard 1,000 times. In the past games, you were encouraged to talk to your villagers and get to know them. We used to be able to run errands, deliver items and presents for rewards. We would open up new dialogue with villagers the closer we were to them. Even the photos they would give you came with a little cutscene delivering them to you at your house. Somewhere along the way, Nintendo just decided to gut the villagers, and I couldn't even fathom why. I also hate how villagers were relegated to a popularity contest. Villagers began to be hunted because they looked okay or were cool. In older games, it was much harder to get rid of a villager, so if you got one that you didn't like, well, you were typically stuck with them. This allowed us to actually get to know villagers for more than what they looked like or based on how popular they were. We were able to grow bonds with them in ways that we just aren't able to anymore, especially when a villager can move in and be kicked out in a matter of days. Another issue I have is them locking past features that we had behind content updates. There is no reason to me as to why Red in the art gallery should have been an update, or why access to the Dream Suite was behind an update. These were features that we had before right away with past base games. It just felt like Nintendo was selling us an incomplete game, then hyping us up by giving us features we already had access to before. Yeah, getting Red back was really exciting, and being able to put art into the museum was fun, but this should have been in the game from day one. A great example for an update was adding creatures in the ocean to collect for the museum, or allowing us to grow pumpkins and farm during fall. But giving us items and features that should have been in the game at launch just feels cheap to me. And even now, we still don't have things that were cut from New Horizons that should be there in the first place. Like, where's Brewster? Where's Captain? Where's Copper and Booker? Each of these NPCs are ones that many veterans of the franchise have very fond memories with. Why were they left out? Are they ever coming back? When are they coming back, or why won't they? Why does Nook's Cranny only update once? Every past game we had, they updated the building multiple times, ending in a two-story, almost shopping mall. The team stated that they plan to update New Horizons for 2 to 3 years, yet it feels as if they are only finishing the game, and as time ticks by, it's starting to feel like we may not even get all these things that we had in older entries, some even being in the first game. I mean, these aren't all the issues that I have with New Horizons, but these are some of the big ones. The good news is the book is still open for New Horizons. They are still updating the game, they are still giving it the love that it needs. But we need to start seeing some things soon. I have just a few things that I would love to see in some future updates that I think would raise New Horizons back up and maybe even make it the best in the franchise. One, give us back the NPCs that were in the older games. Bring back Brewster in his shop. Allow us to serve coffee to villagers again. Allow us to break Rooster out of his shell and make a friend. Bring back Captain. We have the dock. He can easily come back, especially in the summer updates. He may even be able to lead us to Tortimer. It's the summer. It's the perfect time. There are so many unique ways that the old NPCs could be implemented back into the game, and it's honestly about time that they were. Two, this one is much harder, and I feel like I'm getting my hopes up on it because I know the amount of work it would take, but please give us a dialogue overhaul. I want unique villagers back. I want Stitches to have problems a teddy bear would have, and Zucker to stare longingly at the ocean but be too lazy to learn to swim. Just give us some uniqueness. No, I don't expect every time I talk to a villager to be a new line, but some variety would really go a long way. And three, bring back some old features that made the games great. Allow Nook's Cranny to grow bigger. Allow us to collect Nintendo themed gear that isn't limited to just Mario. Heck, allow us to even get the NES or SNES consoles in our homes. Maybe even allow us to play them with our visitors. Bring back the raffle system that was in the first game, where they would give you a raffle ticket every time you bought an item, and then you would go into Nooks at the end of the month and give the tickets to hopefully win something. Bring back random events. When I was a kid and I found Tortimer in my village, wanting to actually make a bridge because it was hard to get around because the way the river was, I was blown away. How about the time that he had you check on the lighthouse for a few days because he went on vacation? How about the small festivals where villagers would encourage you to play? How about even playing with our villagers? I remember playing hide and seek in New Leaf and City Folk. These are just little things that made these games so much more magical and made it feel so much more alive. It would add so much quality and replayability to the games that just isn't there as it sits. I know this video sounded more like I was complaining at New Horizons, but at the end of the day, I still love the time that I spent in it. And I look forward to spending more time on my island and meeting new villagers and enjoying the game, especially as it continues to get updates. If they fix the issues I have with it or not, New Horizons will always hold a special place in my heart. It brought me to YouTube and it allowed me to connect with so many players and make so many friends. New Horizons will forever be the light that helped a lot of people get through the dark that was 2020. The sad part is just seeing the hype around the game slowly dying and fading away. As the world recovers from its hardships and people begin to step back from New Horizons, what is going to set it apart from the other games in the franchise? What's going to get those players to pick it back up? I don't know, but what are your thoughts? Do you agree with anything I said? Disagree? Have anything to add? Leave it down below. And thank you all for sticking with me through this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks. Hey, you made it to the end card. Thank you guys so much for watching it and making it this far with me. If you guys like this type of video, let me know. This is my first time making one of these on the channel, and I would definitely like to continue this type of content, so if you guys enjoyed it, definitely let me know. You guys will probably see some videos pop up on your screen. If you want to check those out, please do, and yeah guys, until the next one, have a great day everybody.